Gran sponsor no Tokyo de... sorry. I am trying to be clever with my Japanese, it's not working out too well. Gran sponsor no Tokyo de okurashimasu. Which is thank you to the following sponsors, and it's a phrase you hear at the start of anime. People were wondering if I watch anime in one of my live streams. Answer is yes, quite a lot. I'm currently heavily enjoying Log Horizon. Oh yes, we have a guest. So, as I've said either last episode or a couple episodes ago, I've been using this big circle here to make waystones to come back from the cabin. Next to the cabin, as we all know, is a couple different graves, including Nipti's. And one guy followed me back because the teleport ritual is an area effect. So, say hello to McCoy, everyone. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep him around. He doesn't attack me because I've got my Necromancer's robes, but I was worried he might wander over onto those lilies and die, and I might be out a name tag. So yes, also, big thank you to the number of people that suggest that I use a barrel here. It does have the downside that I can only process one kind of material to completion at a time. I don't think there's any possibility I'll ever have a double inventory full of items to shove into here, but I needed that to get this over there. But it does mean that I don't have the slowdown issue on the lacerator, so that's pretty handy. Thank you very much for that. But today, I am going to attempt to show off what I already know about Japanese, and we're going to talk a lot more about the horror side of things while I get to work on a couple of things. First little thing I found out, the Ender Generator from a single Ender Pearl produces 2 million redstone flux, that's RF. And as we've already discussed, it uses that power, well, it uses that fuel whether or not it actually has storage for it. So we need to actually make a cell of some description to contain the power for that. I think the minimum we'll need is the hardened energy cell, which is the second step up from leadstone. I also added this ME chest here so that I don't have to go scrolling through for all of my riches. So yeah, we've got this big list of stuff here, but if I want like an iron block I can just reach in here. Very handy. And I was a bit of a derp while I was putting stuff in storage, so I added this storage bus so that the ender pearls that we use for fuel are stored outside of the system, even though the system can still see them. Let me see if I find them. Where are they showing up? There they are. So yeah, the system can still see them because this storage bus is set to allow input and output, but it's keeping them stored on that side of this barrel, so if this loses power we can still pull them out and chuck them in there for more power. Good thing to do. Makes total sense. Wish I'd thought of that before I had to wait for an Ender Lily to grow so I could get the Ender Pearls back out of this system. But anyways, we're doing the modular force field system today, which requires a coercion driver to begin with, which requires an energy tablet, which requires a whole bunch of other stuff like focus matrices and stuff. So I'm going to get into that. And, well, I'll start doing a bunch of stuff, because there's a few things I need to catch up on around the place, and meanwhile I'll talk about Japanese. So, one of my big motivations for doing the ring, partially, aside from the fact that it's a completely different culture from Evil Dead, is the knowledge that it would give me an opportunity to actually get to learn Japanese, which I've wanted to do for quite a while, and I've just not really had the opportunity to do so. So, I started watching anime probably the late 90s, early 2000s, I think. My first anime that I think I ever watched might have been Sailor Moon, or it might have been Gundam Wing. I can't remember precisely, but both are fairly interesting animes, and I would certainly recommend Gundam Wing, because by god there is so much to go for, to look through in that. And let me see, this still has a bit of steel in it, so let's get that out because I need the redstone soon. Personally, if you're curious what my favorite, what exactly my favorite Gundam was from Gundam Wing, it was Heavy Arms, the dude that walks around with chainsaws. Well, let's see, he walks around with machetes built into his arms, and basically as many guns as you can imagine packed into a humanoid chassis. So yeah, he was my favourite. He was piloted by Troy Barton, if you go by the English dubbing, which I do because that's the only thing I had at the time. After that, once I got into university, I joined up with the local university anime society, I guess you'd call it, and that just furthered my geekery with regards to it. I haven't been to many conventions for it, only the one, I would say, but it is fun nonetheless. And this is running completely out of power, hasn't it? So let's give it a few. Boop. And get that out of my okay. I also had to go out and get a bunch of wood, because turns out witchwood you can't turn into charcoal for steel and the like. And oh boy, that's taking its own time, isn't it? Ugh, and it's raining. Right. So, let me see. Sentences, because I've learned what little Japanese I already know through anime, I mostly know sentences, phrases, occasional terms. If you watch Attack on Titan, for example, you might readily know that tatakai means to fight. Because they say that a lot. Attack on Titan is another series I watched recently. Very good, highly recommend it. Bit heavy in terms of its emotional saturation, for want of a better term, but good. Boku wa Tim desu ka? Well, that's Boku wa Tim, or Watashi wa Tim, but Boku is a specific version of Watashi that can be used for by males, as I understand it. My understanding is growing, I may not know. Okay, so Invar is what I'm looking for. Good. Because I need that to make the things over there. And you get that from mixing nickel, which is ferrous, and iron together, which would normally get you the Invar blend, but I had the slight issue that I've put most of my iron through this, so oh well. Plonk. Good, that's what I'm looking for. Invar. So let's see. Watashi wa Tim. Timu, depending on who you're talking to and how you want to romanize it. Let's see. Genki desu ka? How are you? Aigo ga wakarimasu. I understand English. Nihongo ga wakarimasen ka? I don't understand Japanese. Well, actually, no, it's masen, not masen ka, because masen ka means don't you understand. There is a specific difference there. Okay, come on, just a little bit more of that. Actually, need quite a bit more of that. How are we doing over here? So, yeah, what this is doing now is, because the barrel is from factorization along with the lacerator, it's pushing the power through and allowing that to work. You are apparently creating heat, so why aren't you? Why am I not seeing? Oh, did I mess something up down here? That may be the case. Yep, I think I did. Because I shifted the water sources about. I may have disrupted the steam boiler's connection to water. What's the easiest way to get around to this thing? Probably down through here. There we go. Okay. So now it should be able to get all the water it needs to make steam and pull that around. Okay. Lovely. Except now I've just wasted a bunch of food. Okay, that's fine. I can just give it more. What other words do I know? Let's see. Tatakai. I know, as is perhaps the case for many school children learning various languages. It was certainly the case with me learning French and German. I know a few Japanese curse words. Kesama is one. Let's see, there is... I know a lot of words from Naruto, because they are very good about using single word sentences as like exclamations and such. Zuto is like always, always, always. Every time. Nande, or nandesu ka, or what is it? Nani is a very informal one. Oyasumi Nasai, good evening, and Oyasumi is when you're responding to that. Hajime Mashite, please take care of me. You say that when you're first meeting someone. Yeah, it varies, and it's sort of a thing of I can't really tell you what I know in a certain language because that would require me having an absolute causal access to it as we're talking, which is kind of a rare thing, right? I am getting heavily distracted. Is this drained? Yes, it is. Good. So now I can make the enriched iron I'm going to need for this energy tablet. So redstone and iron. And that's fine. Make a bunch of this because I'm probably going to need a bunch of it. Okay, so yeah, I know a bunch of Japanese, and through knowing, well, not being fluent, but I suppose I could potentially get by with a few friendly figures around. Japanese, I got into watching, well, through watching subbed anime, I got through to watching subbed Eastern film. So I got through watching things like The Ring, and Ju-On, and Battle Royale, which is one of my favourites. It's pretty a bit morbid, but oh well. And I started seeing all of these differences between Western cinema and Eastern cinema. I won't go into naming them because they'll start to sound very racist very quickly, I'm sure. Yeah, let's take that in there as well. Okay, and then I'm going to need a bunch of gold, I believe. Yep, gold and redstone. Oh yeah, I found something interesting out when I was looking. I was just wandering around in the mines and I came across an angry zombie who have the same translated name as zombies, it would seem. And it turns out, from what I can translate of the katakana, in the Japanese translation for Minecraft, zombies are referred to as sonhi. That's just one of those interesting things. I've been seeing a lot of those as I've been looking around. I don't actually quite know what that does because I have not started learning kanji at all. But I'm getting better with katakana. I'm supposed to be learning hiragana first, but I'm getting better with katakana. Let me see, gold and a redstone, please. Yeah, it's so much easier to reach through everything now. And I need an energy tablet, which does not need to be charged, but I'll take as many as I can make. Good. Okay, and focus matrix, steel, redstone, and diamond. So I became I won't say overnight, but I did very quickly become a bit of a Japanophile, which is to say, someone who really enjoys Japanese culture. And do I not have any? Yes, I do. Spare diamonds. Just sitting around doing nothing. I think they own the place. Right. Focus matrices. Get a bunch of those, because we don't need them. Let's see, that's just steel. Yes, it's just steel. But you're not going to let me do that, because why would you? There we go, coercion driver. So we feed this thing power, it creates force energy that we feed to a capacitor. There we are, Fortron capacitor requires more focus matrices, another energy tablet, and steel ingots. And doop 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 doop, which is why I made a bunch of steel ahead of time. Okay, so if I stick this next to the ender generator, which I'll probably be moving around soon enough, and then plonk, let's put that up there. These have a fairly large range. And give these, and that is now charging this with megajoules, or Minecraft joules, because these work on the same Buildcraft power. Okay, so that holds up to 700 Minecraft joules, and this is creating it quite happily from the power in here, which is now draining because this is presently with the problem that it, yeah, it will keep doing that, shoots it off, only fills it as it needs it. Set to drive, and I can give this a link thing so I don't need to use a frequency because that frequency is server-wide. So it's currently transferring power, lovely. And then we just need a force manipulator, I think it is. Okay, yeah, there you are, force manipulator. These, oh boy, motors, I remember these things from Vaults. These are the things that allow you to move blocks, and you can see focus matrices come in a lot. They're used to actually make the machines, and they are also used to make the different modules that affect how it works. What we're mostly interested is scale and translation. And those are fairly cheap, so if I type in scale, if I pull it up, there we are, scale. It's just 2 of them, creates 2, so just a direct conversion there. And translate, the thing I'm trying to learn how to do, requires a scale module and a focus matrix, makes 2, we use up a scale module for it. So we need those to select the entire cover of the top of the well, and then we're going to need probably about, probably 6 or 8 manipulators to move the whole thing. And then we need to attach some redstone wiring so that it will move it open at night and move it closed during the day. So that'll be fun to see, and then every now and then we can look up and see the moon through it or such. And then I really need to be getting a new power recharging thing. You see my meter on the left there is a little low, and I keep having to pop back and forth to the cabin to get more charge, because I don't have a recharging point around here at all. I need to figure that out. But yeah, Japanese culture is fascinating. Like, England has had its own civil war, England has had its own mythological figures and its own monsters and stuff, but as an Englishman, I am very saturated in those, I'm very aware of those, and I'm kind of tremendously just blasé about them. Japan has some freaking weird mythology. Like, you see 1,000 different Japanese ghost and horror stories. Like, Ju-on is a particularly interesting one, because it is the legend of the wronged spirit. And there's a lot of spirits that go on, because the original, or at least as far as I'm aware, the original major religion in Japan was Shinto, which is where the big, like, pie, for want of a better term, shaped gates come from. Those are Shinto gates, Tori. And Shinto's core tenet is that everything has a spirit, and you have to be respectful to that spirit, or it will mess you the hell up, basically. I'm being a bit glib on it, but that is roughly what it says. And are you still... distribute, spread, drain, fill, there. Okay, so now that's actually using up all the power it has. Good. So you have things like umbrellas that have been discarded and forlorn by their masters that will become monsters, and bakemono, I believe, is the phrase for a monster. And then you have monogatari, which is stories. The Japanese language is very interesting. And you have spirits of people who've died under certain circumstances. That's where Ju-on, the grudge, comes from. It's a woman who died in despair and such. And it's just like, everything has this spirit, and there are gods within this kind of spirit world, which are really powerful spirits that can grant wishes and all sorts, and will summon lightning, and it's really, really fascinating to look into, especially considering that, as far as, at least as far as English mythology goes, we more or less stick to, there are creatures that are widespread, and you can walk 2 miles and see 5 of them, like dragons and such, and there are angels and demons, and that is really more or less as far as we go. We were it was kind of hard for us to maintain a particular mythology based on how many times people were conquering us for a lot of our early time. But if you go to Ireland and Scotland, you have things like the Kelpie, you have things like Loch Ness monsters and stuff. You have giants and all sorts. So we have a fair range of creatures. Some of which are borrowed from other cultures that we've interacted with on a heavy basis and all sorts. And is this full now? No, this is still charging. It's just waiting for that to pull it up. What? No, that's weird. It's trying to give me I can't tell if it's trying to give me that. That's weird. But it is charging this, so that's what I'm interested in. I don't know if these hold their charge when you destroy them, but ender generators do hold their power when you pick them up, so that's good. While I'm just yammering on, let me see if I can get to work on a power storage solution. Frame, glass, lead, redstone block. Okay. Lead I have a bunch of. And I need a redstone block. And I need glass, which I apparently have used all of. Well, sand isn't. One problem I have found is that until I can figure out a way to type in kanji, katakana, hiragana, that kind of thing, I can't search for half of these items because they're just the way that it works is that Minecraft is looking for their actual names, which I apparently can't type. So, okay, makes sense, I suppose, in terms of the translation function. Okay, step down there, get some glass, can't put it out. So yeah, we have some very interesting things. Oh yeah, leprechauns, of course, we have leprechauns. And we also have the dog, the black dog of death, and the crone. But those are more Celtic and Gaelic kind of monsters than the Angles had to deal with. So yeah, that's a little diatribe on mythology and why I find Japanese mythology so interesting. And why I find Japan interesting, and how I got into Japanese itself, and anime, and Western cinema, well, Eastern cinema, I should say, and oh boy, I've been all over the place, and I've better done a thing today, haven't I? Okay, well, with that in mind, I'll get a hardened energy cell up to contain all the power we're getting out of the ender generator, and I'll see if I can organize some force manipulating to do next episode. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed my rambling, and I shall catch you all next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and or a favorite, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to be notified of future updates. You can also check out the website where most other content is uploaded. That's all for now, catch you later.